Rebecca Kelly arrived at Gold and Silver Pawn on a chilly Los Angeles morning, her arms laden with ledgers instead of merchandise, and immediately turned heads. She wasn't Rick Harrison's daughter or Corey's college friend. Instead, she strode through the showroom in black slacks and a crisp blouse, scanning every shelf as if the next $1 million find might be tucked behind a stack of tarnished silver tea sets. Producers had brought her in for a single episode, hoping to shake up their cast with someone who seemed less a TV personality and more a real-world professional. Within hours of filming her first case, a disputed 3,500 Native American tomahawk, rumors began circulating that Rebecca's appraisal was so precise it humbled even the veteran experts. Viewers who tuned in expecting the usual banter soon found themselves leaning forward, listening for her quiet authority, and hanging on her every word. By the end of that day's shoot, the buzz was undeniable. Here was someone who knew her craft and was willing to let her expertise do the talking. Before the camera lights ever clicked on, Rebecca had spent years building her reputation in the antiques trade. Born and raised in East LA, she cut her teeth managing her mother's vintage clothing stall at swap meets and auction houses. After college, she opened 2 independent boutiques in Venice Beach, specializing in mid-century furniture and estate jewelry, where she negotiated dozens of private sales and cultivated relationships with auctioneers across the country. Producers for Pawn Stars discovered her by tracking a particularly compelling segment on local news. Rebecca had helped broker a 6-figure sale of a Depression-era Depression glass collection, guiding novice sellers through legal covenants and shipping logistics. Impressed by her ability to translate arcane appraisal language into clear, practical advice, casting agents invited her to audition. She agreed on one condition: no acting roles, just real customer interactions. That unscripted authenticity became her ticket onto the show. On set, Rebecca's floor manager skills often went far beyond the on-camera moments. She coordinated specialist appraisers for everything from Civil War rifles to autographed baseballs and streamlined the booking of contractors to repair rare porcelain. Crew members recall her pacing behind the camera, phone in hand, quietly corralling experts on short notice. At lunch, she pored over dealers' price sheets rather than chit-chat about Hollywood. When a collector arrived expecting a quick sale and no paperwork, Rebecca would calmly explain auction house regulations, tax implications, and provenance requirements, unpacking legalese that left veteran litigators nodding in appreciation. That blend of street-smart hustle and scholarly know-how was exactly what the show needed. Someone who could keep the pawn shop drama genuine, rather than letting it veer into cheap theatrics. Her few on-camera appearances were electric. Rebecca never raised her voice, yet her assessments carried undeniable weight. In one scene, a customer tried to pass off a first-edition comic book as a mint copy when it clearly had provenance gaps. While Rick pressed for a dramatic confrontation, Rebecca calmly flipped through dust jackets, cross-referenced market reports on her tablet, and explained why the book was closer to $150 than the $100,000 the seller demanded. The seller's jaw dropped. Cameras cut to Rick's impressed glance and Corey's rapid-fire follow-up questions. Viewers saw Rebecca not as a caricature but as a consummate professional, someone who treated every item with the same interrogation, whether it was gold coins or a rusted pocket watch. It was that rigorous, respectful approach that kept the production team shipping her expertise to other spin-off auditions. Despite the acclaim, Rebecca's stint lasted a single season. Behind the scenes, tension simmered over her insistence on deeper personal stories for everyday sellers. She argued that a vignette on a retired teacher's bronze bell or a widow's locket carried emotional resonance that simple price haggling couldn't match. Network executives demurred, fearing the pacing would drag and ratings would slip. Rebecca refused to sign a second contract that would gag her ability to highlight backstories. In her exit memo, she thanked the crew for the opportunity but cited irreconcilable creative differences and a desire to focus on her own galleries. She quietly returned to retail, opening a third shop in Palm Springs and launching a successful online appraisal consultancy. The departure fueled speculation. Some claimed she'd been edged out by a ratings crunch. Others whispered she'd clashed with the Harrisons. But Rebecca's version was simple: she chose authenticity over artifice, even if it meant walking away from a hit show. By 2025, Rebecca Kelly has resurfaced as the host of Behind the Display, a podcast where she dives deep into the hidden histories of ordinary objects. Her episodes, cropped from 2 seasons of on-site metal detector adventures in the Mojave and vault tours at European auction houses, have drawn a devoted following. She also consults for boutique hotels on curating in-house collections and speaks at design conferences on sourcing sustainable antiques. Meanwhile, a grassroots Bring Rebecca Back campaign on social media has rallied thousands of Pawn Stars superfans, urging producers to revive her commentary in upcoming specials. Whether she ever returns to the TV pawn shop or remains a storied industry insider, Rebecca's brief but brilliant moment on Pawn Stars reminds us that real expertise, unpolished, unfiltered, and unapologetically thorough, resonates far beyond any single camera lens. Rebecca stepped onto the showroom floor with a clipboard in hand and a calm confidence that cut through the usual din of haggling customers and rattling display cases. Within minutes, she had intercepted a disagreement at the counter, a regular feature when someone tried to pawn a faded coin collection for more than it was worth. While Rick barked out, "Name your price," Rebecca crouched beside the seller, gently inspecting each coin's edge, pointing out minute markings that changed its grade and its value by tens of dollars. Watching her, crew members realized straight away that her appraisal technique wasn't theater. It was genuine craft. She treated every item as if its story mattered as much as its resale price. On camera, that authenticity demanded a new kind of choreography. Producers had to adjust their shot lists around Rebecca's steady pace, swapping out quick reaction angle cuts for longer takes that captured her methodical coin grading and fine print contract explanations. Camera operators learned to frame her from multiple sides, showing close-ups of her hands brushing dust off antique locket hinges and wide shots that caught her sliding original receipts across the counter. Editors told her they'd never seen so many candid moments left in the final cut. Her steady voice held viewers' attention more than scripted banter ever did. In daily screenings, executives nodded at each unfolded appraisal, murmuring that Rebecca's genuine expertise gave the show a depth they hadn't anticipated. Her partner in truth seeking was an elderly gentleman named Carl from Santa Monica, who arrived with a set of 1950s Gillette razors he inherited from his father. Rick teased him about bringing out the family heirlooms, but Rebecca stepped in with a warm smile and seized each razor head, clicking them in her palm as she explained differences in blade alignment and handle weight. She noted subtle variations in plating that had propelled collector prices skyward in recent months, gently guided Carl through paperwork, showing him that he could ask for more because the set was far rarer than he thought. Cameras refocused on Rick's receptive nod and Corey's quick reference to an online price guide. Scene became one of Season 1's highest shared snippets on social media. Fans loved seeing Rebecca calmly hold court while the senior Harris duo looked unimpressed. Behind closed doors, however, her rising profile sowed quiet tension among the veteran cast. Interviews with producers revealed that Corey chafed at her takeover of floor manager duties. He felt sidelined when Rebecca fielded high-value negotiations that traditionally fell under his purview. When Rebecca arranged a rare coin expert to appraise an 1894 Morgan dollar, Corey had to step aside, his usual role reduced to an ambivalent spectator. Memo notes from post-production meetings mention adjusted screen time allotments to balance the on-camera dynamic. Rebecca, eager to maintain harmony, would slip in winks at Corey during filming, an unscripted gesture that both amused and appeased him. But tensions remained palpable off-camera. Her relationship with production unfolded in equal measure. One veteran camerawoman, speaking on condition of anonymity, recalled sneaking Rebecca special clips of behind-the-scenes footage. She'd watch the playback late at night, whispering, "That's how I'd say it if I had another take." Producers appreciated her willingness to fine-tune on-camera delivery, but occasional retakes meant longer shooting days and higher production costs. One afternoon, the sound mixer complained of sore shoulders after capturing extra audio for Rebecca's elaborations on appraisal history. But when those additional lines landed in post and tested well with sample audiences, the extra effort proved worthwhile. Part of Rebecca's appeal came from her refusal to sugarcoat tough decisions. During a negotiation over an 18th century painting that turned out to be a 20th century reproduction, she didn't soften her stance. After discovering watermarks inconsistent with the claimed date, she looked the seller in the eye and explained the damning provenance gap. Instead of drama-bait theatrics, her honest deconstruction drew genuine sympathy from the viewer. Viewers who praised her on message boards for telling it like it is. That moment generated thousands of comments praising her ethics over entertainment, forcing showrunners to rethink their approach to conflict and authenticity. Despite the praise, Rebecca's candor sometimes glowed too brightly. One episode broadcast a tense exchange with a seller who became visibly upset when Rebecca refused his $10,000 offer for an old phonograph. She calmly recited market comparables and auction results, but as cameras rolled, the man's frustration grew. When he stormed out mid-tap, the producer yelled, "Cut!" and crew members scrambled to comfort Rebecca, who simply closed her eyes and exhaled. Word reached network brass that viewers in focus groups felt the scene too raw for primetime. They asked Rebecca to tone down future confrontations, but she resisted, arguing that raw honesty was her brand. That clash of priorities foreshadowed the deeper creative disputes that would unfold in the coming months. Off-screen, Rebecca juggled her burgeoning celebrity with her own entrepreneurial ventures. She kept one boutique open in Venice Beach, traveling back on weekends to host appraisal pop-ups that drew lines of enthusiasts waiting to have their items vetted by the one-seasoned pawn shop virtuoso. On Monday morning, she'd commute to gold and silver pawn, often bearing freshly prepared collector catalogs she'd customized with notes for producers on potential future episodes. Merchants within the antiques community began tipping her directly via text message. Hidden treasures awaiting her spotlight evolution. Her dual lives underscored the tension between authentic retail practice and the accelerated, episodic demands of reality TV. As the season finale neared, Rebecca's signature style had become a double-edged sword for the show. Ratings edged upward when network promotions touted Rebecca's grand finale appraisals. But insiders whispered that the cost of her retakes and scheduling inflexibility had strained budgets. Executive producers began considering contract clauses to limit her unscripted improvisations, an idea that Rebecca met with polite but firm refusal. She reiterated that her value lay in her authenticity, unscripted approach, and unsparing assessments, warning that heavy restrictions would compromise the very quality that drew viewers to her. That stand would pave the way for the creative crossroads that eventually led to her departure. By the conclusion of Section 2, viewers got a behind-the-curtain look at the tightrope Rebecca Kelly walked, honored by fans and producers for her raw expertise, yet embroiled in power struggles over on-camera time and editorial freedom. She had proven that real-world knowledge could electrify reality TV, but also revealed the limits of network tolerance for genuine spontaneity. As Section 3 will explore those creative fault lines between authenticity and acclaim, between real craft and ratings pressures, ultimately defined Rebecca's brief but unforgettable tenure on Pawn Stars. Behind the scenes, Rebecca's contract negotiations began in earnest as Season 1 wrapped. Producers offered her a guaranteed 8-episode renewal but with two stipulations: scripted seller backstories capped at 15 seconds each, and mandatory approval of any personal commentary by network lawyers. Rebecca viewed these provisions as antithetical to her unscripted ethos. She countered with a proposal for 10 episodes and full editorial autonomy over customer narratives. Network executives convened late-night conference calls, arguing that longer backstories risked viewer drop-off in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic. The impasse reflected a deeper creative rift. Rebecca insisted authenticity required freedom to explore human stories, while executives prioritized brisk pacing and brand consistency. As the deadline loomed, the standoff intensified. Rebecca spent hours drafting an 8-page letter to the network's entertainment president, detailing how her extended vignettes increased viewer empathy and social media engagement. She cited specific Season 1 cases, like the elderly veteran's silver flask, which generated thousands of compassionate comments when she recorded his World War II memories in full. Ratings analysts later confirmed that those emotionally rich scenes drove a 12% uplift in minute-by-minute retention. Yet network brass remained skeptical that such incremental gains justified production delays. They countered that consistency trumps novelty in formula-driven reality formats. Ultimately, Rebecca declined the renewal. In a final meeting at the Silver and Gold soundstage, she shook Rick's hand and thanked the crew for their support. Cameras were rolling off air when she whispered to Lydia Mason, Stay true to yourselves. 2 weeks later, an official Fox press release stated simply, Rebecca Kelly has chosen not to return for a second season. We thank her for her service. Within hours, entertainment sites speculated about her exit reasons. Some blamed creative differences, others cited scheduling conflicts with her boutiques. In interviews, Rebecca maintained a polite silence, calling her departure a mutual decision to pursue independent endeavors. Unfettered by network constraints, Rebecca threw herself back into her retail ventures. By mid-2024, she had opened a third boutique in Palm Springs, specializing in European Art Deco and mid-century modern pieces. She introduced a signature appraisal lounge in each store, offering hourly consultations at $150 per session. These sessions sold out within days of her announcement, confirming her loyal following. Meanwhile, she launched Behind the Display, a podcast that delved into the backstories of curious objects, from a Depression-era dining set to pre-Columbian artifacts smuggled across borders. Driven by her Pawn Stars fame, the show rapidly climbed podcast charts, averaging 200,000 downloads per episode by year's end. Her appraisal expertise found new outlets as well, and design firms in Los Angeles and Miami contracted her to source vintage items for celebrity homes and boutique hotels. One notable commission involved curating a collection of 1920s Follies Bertram Internationals for a rooftop bar in West Hollywood. Rebecca negotiated directly with private collectors, verifying provenance and arranging secure transport. She documented the process on social media, where clips of her negotiating a seven-figure sale drew viral engagement. Those success stories further cemented her reputation as an independent expert who transcended reality TV labels. Despite stepping away from the cameras, Rebecca remained a popular guest contributor. In early 2025, she appeared on Antiques Roadshow, offering second opinions on shocking valuations. Her surprise cameo, equipment styled in muted tones rather than the Pawn Stars show's bright palette, was greeted with cheers from the studio audience. She also participated in a special spin-off pilot, Vintage Ventures, assisting novice collectors in navigating auction previews. Although the pilot did not move forward, network insiders noted that producers began recruiting more genuine experts, inspired by Rebecca's authenticity. Fan communities responded to her absence by launching a Bring Rebecca Back campaign. A Change.org petition amassed over 20,000 signatures in under 2 days, and social media groups spilled with memories of her candor and respect for everyday sellers. Clips of her most impactful moments, rejecting overpriced fakes, amplifying customer stories, defying network edits, circulated widely. Some super fans issued custom T-shirts reading, Rebecca was real, while online discussion boards charted theories on her potential return. This grassroots energy prompted Fox producers to explore special episode guest spots, though scheduling she deemed incompatible with her independent project so far has forestalled any comeback. In response to Rebecca's influence, the Pawn Stars franchise quietly redesigns upcoming spin-off formats. Producers announced a new segment called Expert Spotlight, highlighting independent appraisers who run the gamut from militaria specialists to fine art restorers. And an annual Backroom Stories special will feature extended customer interviews, a concession to the very authenticity Rebecca championed. Industry observers note that these tweaks echo her impact. Networks now recognize that curated expertise paired with genuine human narratives can reinvigorate formula-driven programming. Rebecca Kelly's brief tenure thus became a catalyst for change, bridging authentic craft and mainstream entertainment. Her departure underscored the limitations of scripted reality, while her post-show successes revealed the enduring value of expert credibility. As Season 3 auditions roll out and spin-offs take shape, the blueprint she left behind promises that the next generation of Pawn Stars experts will be real practitioners, not just personalities. And for viewers who remember her unwavering respect for objects and owners alike, Rebecca's legacy endures as a reminder that authenticity remains television's most precious commodity. Rebecca's departure from gold and silver pawn did not dim interest in her appraisal expertise. Instead, it sparked a wave of new ventures that leveraged her credibility and deep trade knowledge. By mid-2024, she had launched Rebecca Kelly Appraisals LLC, a boutique consultancy specializing in high-end estate liquidations and private collection valuations. Operating out of a renovated warehouse in Venice Beach, she employed a small team of trained specialists, numismatists, militaria experts, vintage fashion curators, who toured clients' homes offering in-person and virtual appraisal services. Her monthly Collector's Chronicle newsletter, emailed to over 50,000 subscribers, featured deep dives into market trends, restoration tips, and exclusive Q&A columns where readers submitted photos of heirlooms for Rebecca's signature spotlight analysis. Meanwhile, Rebecca capitalized on her pawn shop fame by expanding behind the display her hit podcast. In its second season, she partnered with major true crime platforms to promote episodes that examined forgeries, stolen artifacts, and underworld smuggling ring busts tied to rare coins and artworks. Production quality increased with cinematic soundscapes and on-location interviews with detectives and auction house investigators. Audience numbers swelled past 500,000 weekly listens, and Patreon supporters kicked in over 25,000 per month for bonus appraisers archives content, raw field recordings from estate sales and behind-the-scenes glimpses into high-profile celebrity collections. Rebecca's influence also rippled back onto Pawn Stars itself. In 2025, the show introduced the Expert Exchange, a monthly segment explicitly patterned on Rebecca's methodology. Independent appraisers, including specialists in sports memorabilia and fine pottery, rotated through Las Vegas claims, fielding walk-in cases and sharing unscripted insights. Producers reported a 15% uptick in social media engagement when Expert Exchange segments aired, validating Rebecca's call for unscripted, depth-driven content. Notably, two of these guest experts, one a military uniform authority, the other a rare book conservator, were people Rebecca herself had recommended based on her network of trade contacts. Her on-camera presence also resurfaced in cameo roles across the antiques entertainment space. In early 2025, she guest-starred on Antiques Roadshow's charitable special, Memories on Main Street, appraising donated family portraits and vintage heirloom silver for charity auctions. Two-hour special raised over $1.2 million for local museums in need of restoration funds. She later made a surprise appearance on the reality spin-off Treasure Detectives, offering second opinions on metal detector finds from amateur pros on the New Mexico plains. In each cameo, she delivered the same balanced blend of warm encouragement and disciplined scrutiny that had endeared her to Pawn Stars fans. Beyond media, Rebecca deepened her role as a mentor and educator. She launched the Kelly Institute of Appraisal Studies in fall 2024, offering accredited online certification in valuation essentials. Course modules cover provenance research, digital cataloging, ethical sourcing, and negotiation tactics. By June 2025, over 3,000 students had enrolled, ranging from aspiring professionals to hobbyists seeking to verify family artifacts. The Institute's Appraisal Apprenticeship program pairs students with established appraisers for 6-month internships, a pipeline that has already placed 24 graduates in gallery and auction house positions nationwide. Her philanthropic commitments grew in tandem. In March 2025, she established the Rebecca Kelly Scholarship Fund at Otis College of Art and Design, awarding 5 annual grants to students specializing in collectible restoration and curatorial studies. The fund also sponsors summer internships at major museums and supports travel grants for research in archives and library special collections. During the annual scholarship gala, students present portfolio pieces and walk away with $10,000 each in tuition assistance, an effort, Rebecca says, bridges the gap between passion and profession for a new generation of experts. Rebecca also remained active on social media, where she curated daily Artifact of the Day, posts short videos spotlighting one unusual item from her archives, complete with historical context and market analysis. These clips, running 60 to 90 seconds, became a staple on Reels and TikTok, collectively racking up over 10 million views. Fans appreciated the bite-sized lessons and the way Rebecca demystified jargon. Comments praised her ability to turn a rusty horseshoe into a lesson in metallurgy, or make a tarnished locket feel like a time capsule. Reflecting on her multi-platform empire, Rebecca notes that the core principle remains the same: respect for both objects and their owners. In interviews, she often states, "Every item has a story. Every owner deserves to be heard." Whether in her Venice Beach warehouse, on a podcast stage, or through her app, that ethos guides her work. And even as Pawn Stars evolves to incorporate more real-deal experts, Rebecca's pioneering role continues to shape how trade knowledge is presented to millions. By mid-2025, Rebecca Kelly had broadened her influence in ways even she had not anticipated. In April, she launched Appraisal on Wheels, a branded mobile valuation service operating across Southern California. Outfitted in a retrofitted Airstream trailer, the unit visits neighborhoods from Long Beach to Malibu, offering on-the-spot assessments for antiques, collectibles, and memorabilia. Local newspapers ran feature stories on the pastel flagship vehicle bearing Rebecca's signature stylized RK, while social media check-ins rocketed past 50,000 tags in its first month. Owners who once faced stiff fees for in-home appraisals now queued outside the trailer at Saturday markets, appreciating both the convenience and Rebecca's transparent fee structure. That success inspired a strategic partnership with a national bookstore chain. In June, Rebecca began hosting monthly in-store Bring Your Heirlooms pop-ups across 20 flagship locations. Attendees line up hours in advance, clutching photo albums and dusty trunks. Rebecca and her team of junior appraisers handle dozens of 10-minute slots, giving free verbal valuations and recommending next steps. Estate sale planners, restoration experts, or auction referrals. Store traffic soared, with independent booksellers reporting up to 30% increases in weekend footfall. The campaign also drove book sales of her memoir, The Gavel and the Globe, which saw a second spike into the national bestseller lists. Online, Rebecca's e-learning courses at the Kelly Institute continued to flourish. In July, she introduced Advanced Provenance Research, a 4-week livestream module that pairs students with leading museum registrars for live artifact history deep dives. Class sizes are capped at 100 to maintain interactivity, and students submit final projects evaluating the chain of ownership for objects ranging from 19th-century daguerreotypes to 1970s transistor radios. Alumni networks form active discussion boards where participants share leads on potential misattributions and collaborate on real-world provenance challenges. New enrollments hit dollars in within 2 weeks of launch, underscoring the appetite for expert-led, niche professional education. Meanwhile, Rebecca's television presence evolved again. In August, she filmed a 3-part PBS series, The Kelly Curates, in which she is both host and curator. Traveling to historic houses in Charleston, Savannah, and New Orleans, she examines period furniture, family papers, and folk art, placing each collection in its broader social context. The show emphasizes conservation ethics and the role of storytelling in artifact appreciation. Producers report record-breaking pledge drive donations during airings, and viewership among PBS's under 50 demographic jumped by 15%. Critically acclaimed, The Kelly Curates has been renewed for a second season set to explore Midwest industrial collectibles and West Coast design classics. At the same time, Rebecca cemented her role as a thought leader through speaking engagements. In September, she headlined the American Society of Appraisers National Conference in Chicago, delivering a keynote on the future of valuation in the digital age. Her presentation introduced preliminary data from her AR app pilot, Kelly Vision, which overlays real-time market data and historical comparables on a smartphone camera viewfinder. Attendees marveled at demo scenes where pointing a phone at a vintage wristwatch instantly displayed auction, sale results, and restoration estimates. Beta testers in 3 major cities had already logged 100,000 sessions, with plans to roll out Kelly Vision globally in early 2026. Simultaneously, Rebecca's foundation expanded its reach. The RK Scholarship now funds 10 students annually at the New York School of Interior Design, with an emphasis on conservation and restoration studies. In November, scholars presented portfolio exhibitions in Manhattan, showcasing projects ranging from famine-era quilts to Art Nouveau vases. Rebecca attended the gallery opening and spoke about the importance of fresh talent in preserving cultural heritage. Local art patrons wrote op-eds praising her commitment to nurturing the next generation of curators and conservators. Even Christie's and Sotheby's took notice. In late 2025, Rebecca began consulting on private sale collections, advising high-net-worth clients on discrete auction strategies and guaranteed minimum pricings. Her unique blend of technical acumen and market insight made her a valued outside expert, and rumor has it that she will host a forthcoming Christie's pilot series on private treaty sales. Insiders say her role will mirror her PBS format, combining on-location walkthroughs with behind-the-scenes negotiation insights for a mainstream audience. Rebecca also remains a prominent guest on morning news programs and podcasts. Her recent interview on the globally syndicated Business Today show focused on how estate sale markets reflect shifting generational tastes. She explained why mid-century modern furniture commands higher premiums among millennial collectors and offered tips on spotting counterfeit designer glassware. Within hours, the The clip amassed over 2 million views on YouTube, prompting auctions of comparable items to surge in the following days. As she eyes 2026, Rebecca is finalizing her next book, tentatively titled From Pawn Shop to Podium: My Journey Through the World of Valuation. Slated for an April release, the manuscript combines memoir, case studies, and strategic advice for both budding appraisers and curious collectors. Advanced reviews call it an indispensable guide to understanding the stories behind things, and a human-centric look at an often niche field. Pre-orders already exceed those of her previous works, suggesting yet another bestseller is on the horizon. By the close of Section 5, it's clear that Rebecca Kelly has transformed her brief stint on Pawn Stars into a diversified empire of in-person events, digital platforms, media productions, and philanthropic ventures. Her authentic expertise continues to shape how the public interacts with antiques and collectibles, proving that in an era of fleeting fame, genuine skill and unwavering integrity remain the keys to lasting impact. In early 2026, Rebecca's world shows no signs of slowing. Her Kelly Vision AR app officially launched its global rollout, featuring a network of over 300 licensed appraisers who provide live video consultations in 35 countries. Tourists in Florence now point their phones at Renaissance ceramics and instantly receive historical context, condition assessments, and estimated market values, all narrated in their local language. Travel bloggers rave that Kelly Vision has turned every museum visit into an interactive treasure hunt, and UNESCO representatives have invited Rebecca to speak at a cultural heritage conference in Seoul this spring. Meanwhile, her consulting collective has grown into a six-figure enterprise. Design firms and luxury real estate developers contract Rebecca Kelly Appraisals LLC to curate bespoke collections that fuse mid-century style with local artisanship. In January, she led a team to source decorative ironwork and vintage textiles for a boutique hotel in Tulum, negotiating private sale agreements that landed clients unique showpieces while quietly funding local preservation efforts. Social media influencers snapped photos with Rebecca amid workshops on sustainable sourcing, and fashion editors praise a chic eye in glossies like Architectural Digest. Her behind-the-scenes consultancy also expanded into corporate training. She designed a custom appraiser's toolkit for global auction houses, blending digital checklists, video, module tutorials, and VR simulations of common fraud techniques. That program became mandatory at 3 major auction room chains, and auction house owners credit it with reducing counterfeit consignments by 18%. At an annual Antiques Professionals Forum in London, Rebecca delivered a keynote on technology and trust, arguing that innovation must reinforce authenticity rather than undermine it, a perspective that resonated deeply with an industry facing growing skepticism. In April, Rebecca's third book, From Pawn Shop to Podium, hit shelves. Blending memoir, market analysis, and step-by-step guidance, it soared into the top 10 on multiple bestseller lists. Reviewers highlighted her ability to translate technical appraisal concepts into engaging narratives, whether recounting a foggy dawn valuation at a rural estate sale or decoding the economic drivers behind 30s depression glass values. Libraries reported that the book's companion podcast episodes drew new listeners, and a veteran bookseller told Publishers Weekly that inquiries about Rebecca's earlier work spiked immediately after publication. On screen, Rebecca surprised fans with an unexpected project, a streaming competition series called Timeless Treasures, in which aspiring appraisers from around the globe compete to identify, restore, and sell overlooked antiques. Produced by a major streaming network, the show blends reality competition drama with educational segments led by Rebecca and guest experts. Filming wrapped in May, and early previews suggest a robust following among design enthusiast demographics. Critics praise its focus on craftsmanship and poise under pressure, qualities Rebecca herself exemplifies. Philanthropic work also reached new heights. The RK Scholarship Fund announced a partnership with the World Monuments Fund to provide conservation grants for endangered heritage sites. Rebecca personally visited restoration projects in Petra and Havana, offering micro-grants that supported local specialists in preserving colonial-era woodwork and mosaics. As she toured a 19th-century synagogue in Cluj, Romania, she underscored how even small-scale heritage preservation begins with recognizing each object's story, a message that echoed her Pawn Stars debut over a decade ago. Global conferences clamored for her presence. Last June, she moderated a panel at the World Economic Forum in Davos on circular design economies, demonstrating how antique and vintage markets can drive sustainable consumption. In Singapore, she joined a UN Climate Action Symposium, highlighting how reuse and repurposing collectibles reduces waste. And at the Aspen Ideas Festival, she hosted breakout sessions on narratives and objects, teaching attendees how to mine heirlooms for cultural and economic insights. Her signature mobile service, Appraisal on Wheels, celebrated its first full year with a cross-country tour, stopping in 50 towns from Key West to Seattle. The Airstream's interior now features interactive touchscreens and a rotating display of Rebecca's personal curator's picks, a selection of rare finds available for purchase through her network. Community-sourced events like Story Circles invite residents to share memories attached to heirlooms, fostering social cohesion around shared objects. Local news outlets report that towns hosting the trailer see upticks in small business revenue and civic pride, testaments to Rebecca's flair for community engagement. Despite these triumphs, Rebecca remains grounded in her original conviction that respect for objects should go hand in glove with respect for people. She still mentors appraisal apprentices, answering late-night texts from students anxiously awaiting their first real-world valuation tasks. She continues to host quarterly Masterclass Mondays, live streaming deep dives into niche markets, from French Art Nouveau jewelry to Soviet-era porcelain, and fielding live audience questions. Those sessions generate tens of thousands of concurrent viewers, proving that her ability to captivate audiences extends far beyond unscripted reality TV. As 2026 unfolds, Rebecca Kelly's influence spans media education, technology, philanthropy, and policy. An empire built on authenticity, expertise, and an unwavering commitment to telling the stories behind things. From the Pawn Stars showroom to the world's most remote villages, her work ensures that every item's history is honored and every voice connected to it is heard. In the evolving tapestry of appraisal, Rebecca's thread remains vibrant, a reminder that behind every object lies a human tale, and that championing those tales can change lives, one valuation at a time.